Hello guys. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm gonna be talking about Benedetta, one of the hardest assassin in the game. In this video, I will also discuss how Benedetta works in full details, which includes her passive, skills, builds, emblems, combos, along with some tips and guide on how to use her in a match. So without further ado, let's get started with the video. Benedetta has always remained as one of the hardest and strongest assassin in the game. She is known for her exceptional mobility and burst capability. But she is also known as one of the hardest hero to master, and her difficulty is pretty much on the same level as heroes like Fanny, Ling and Lancelot. So, in order to master Benedetta, you must first understand how her passive and skills work. So let's start with her passive ability. With the help of her passive, whenever you hold down on the basic attack button, Benedetta will enter the sword out state. And upon holding on the basic attack button, a sword mark will appear below her health bar. You could also call it her passive bar. And if you keep on holding the basic attack button, the sword mark will get charged with sword intent, and it will eventually turn red. And once the sword mark turns red, you can release the basic attack button, and Benedetta will dash towards the target location, dealing physical damage to the enemy's hit. And you can control the direction of her passive using the joystick or movement wheel in the left-hand side of the screen. And remember, Benedetta will always dash towards the direction she is facing, so you must keep that in mind when using her. And aside from holding her basic attack button, you can also gain sword intent by dealing damage to the enemies using your basic attack and skills. Meaning if you hit the enemies with your skills, you will immediately be able to use her passive ability to dash, without having to wait for it to charge. And the slash from her passive ability is considered as skill damage, despite being a basic attack, so it pretty much means that Benedetta can trigger both attack effects from basic attack and skills. Meaning the slash from her passive ability can trigger the spell vamp from items like War Axe and Queen's Wing. And her passive can also trigger lifesteal from items like Has Claw. Meaning Benedetta can use both these items and trigger the spell vamp and lifesteal using her passive ability. And not only this, but Benedetta can also trigger the attack effects of items such as Blade of Heptases, Demon Hunter Sword, Endless Battle, and Corrosion Side. In easy words, Benedetta's passive ability is half basic attack, and half skill damage, which is the reason why she benefits from both basic attack and skill damage items. Now, let's talk about her first skill. With the help of her first skill, Benedetta slashes forward in a fan-shaped area, dealing 200 physical damage, and also slowing the enemies by 60% for 0.5 seconds. This skill is your main damage skill, so make sure to max out this skill first. Now, let's talk about her second skill. With the help of her second skill, Benedetta raises her sword and dashes into the target location, dealing 300 physical damage to the enemy hit. And aside from dealing damage and being able to dash, this skill can also block incoming attacks from enemies and turrets, and Benedetta also gains control immunity when using this skill. Which pretty much means that you can avoid all kinds of attacks using this skill, which includes CC abilities as well. And if you manage to successfully fend off incoming attacks from enemies or turrets, Benedetta will gain a full sword intent. Meaning the sword mark will get fully charged whenever you use this skill to fend off an attack, allowing you to directly use your passive to dash. Now, let's talk about her ultimate skill. With the help of her ultimate, Benedetta slashes forward after a short delay, dealing 1560 physical damage to enemies inside her ultimate, and also slowing all targets on the path by 50% for 2.5 seconds. Benedetta's ultimate deals a huge amount of damage, and it's recommended to use during teamfights, especially when the enemies are standing near each other. And you could also use her ultimate to chase or escape from the enemies. But aside from that, you must also remember that Benedetta's ultimate is very easy to miss or dodge. So you must time your ultimate and use it when the enemies have their dash abilities on cooldown, so that you will have higher chances of executing the enemies. Now, let's talk about her combos. When it comes to combos, Petrify is the most effective battle spell for Benedetta when doing combos with her skills, as you could use the Petrify to do a combo with her ultimate. And most people when trying to do the Petrify combo, they would usually mess up and only one or two of the enemies inside the ultimate would get petrified. And in order to avoid making mistakes when doing this combo, all you have to do is press the Petrify button as soon as you finish using your ultimate. And that way, all the enemies that are inside your ultimate will get petrified. And aside from the Petrify combo, here are 3 other Benedetta combos. There are honestly a lot more combos you can do using Benedetta, but I would recommend you to learning these 3 combos first, and then try learning the rest of the combos by yourself when using her. I highly encourage you to try creating your own combo, as copying other people's combos won't always be useful. In fact, every situation requires a different combo, and you must try learning how to use different combos in different situations. And always remember that, learning things by yourself will help you improve your gameplay a lot quicker, compared to copying other people's playstyle. Try to study other people's gameplay instead of copying them, and once you have the knowledge about how they use their combos, you should try to create your own version of that same combo. And remember, you should never rush when trying to learn how to use a hero. Always be slow and steady, and you will naturally be able to learn all kinds of combos by yourself. Remember, the more you play, the better you'll become. Now, before we talk about her builds and emblems, I would like to let you all know that this video is a collaboration between me and another creator called Rin. And most of the gameplay in this video is Rin's gameplay, and he mostly plays Ling and Fanny, and he's pretty damn good. So make sure to check out his channel after watching this video, and show him some love and support by subscribing to his channel. Let's help him reach 3K subscribers. I will leave a link to his channel on the video's description, so make sure to check it out. Now, let's talk about her builds and emblems. For Benedetta's build, it's recommended to go for items that will increase her burst capabilities, and for that, this is the best build for her. This build will allow you to burst down the enemies in an instant. But if you want a little sustainability, then you could also go for this build. Remember, Benedetta's passive dash is half basic attack and half skill damage. So you will easily be able to collect Thunderbelt stacks using her passive. And if you want, you could also go for this build. This build will provide you with spell vamp, along with cooldown reduction, allowing you to spam your skills quicker. Now, let's talk about her emblems and talents. For her emblem, the Assassin emblem is the most suitable emblem for Benedetta. And for her first talent, go for Rapture. Rapture will provide you with +5 adaptive penetration, increasing your penetration. And for her second talent, go for Weapon Master. Weapon Master will increase the physical attack you gain from emblems, talents, skills, and equipment by 5%. And for her core talent, go for Lethal Ignition. Lethal Ignition will increase the chances of successfully killing the enemies. Now, let's talk about her gameplay and how to use her in a match. During the start of the game, make sure to unlock your first skill first, as it is your main damage skill. And if you want, you could also cut the enemy's lane, as Benedetta can clear the minion wave pretty fast. But if you're not very experienced or confident in yourself, then you could just play safe during the start of the game. And your main priority during this stage should be farming, and reaching level 4 as soon as you can. Remember, always try to last hit the minions, as last hitting the minions will provide you more gold. And here, the enemy is Paquito, and as we all know, he can deal quite a lot of damage, as Paquito is a strong 1v1 fighter. And if you're playing against him or any other fighter that are strong in a 1 versus 1 fight, I'd recommend you to just keep poking them with your passive and skills, without fighting them head-on. And you must continue poking the enemy without fighting them, and you should only go for the kill once the enemy has low HP, or once you reach level 4. Your priority during the early game should be farming, reaching level 4, and playing safe, as dying a lot during the early game could greatly decrease the chances of winning. Now, let's talk about her mid-game. During the mid-game, you should have at least 1 or 2 of your core items, And this is the stage where Benedetta starts to shine the most. Once you have one or two of your core items, you must start rotating around the map, as that is the job of the fighter. Make sure to always keep an eye on the mini-map, and help your jungler secure the turtle. As securing the turtle will provide you and your whole team with extra gold and a shield. And you should also try to kill the enemy's mage whenever possible. But I'd recommend you to only rotate around this area. Because if you rotate around the gold lane, your own lane will be wide open. And the enemies will easily be able to push your lane. Remember, even if you are rotating around the map, you should never leave your lane open for too long. And you should always go back to your lane as soon as the teamfight is over. And whenever there is a teamfight, your main priority should always be killing their backliners, like their mage and marksman, as they are the main damage dealers of the enemy's team. So, your mid-game priorities should be helping your jungler, joining teamfights, and rotating around the map. And remember, Benedetta is weak against heroes like Minzatar, Ling, Kufra, and Wanlong. So make sure to be careful when playing against these heroes, as they could counter Benedetta to some degree. Now, let's talk about her late game. During the late game, you should always try to stay near your teammates, so that whenever there is a fight, you will be able to swiftly assist your teammates. And as a fighter, you must know that you are the secondary tank of your team. So you must always engage right after your tank. But if possible, try to go around the enemies and attack them from behind, as you will have higher chances of winning the teamfights that way. And always remember, if you're playing against enemies with hard CC and stun abilities, then always wait at least 5 seconds before entering the teamfight. Because most of the times, the enemies will wait for you to engage, so that they can use their ultimate on you. So you must always wait for the enemies to finish up using their skills, so that you will swiftly be able to go in and finish them off. And whenever your teammates are taking down the Lord, you should always try to help them contest the Lord, as taking down the Lord could greatly increase the chances of ending the game. Just like Fanny, Benedetta isn't for everyone, as she is very difficult to use, especially if you're new to her. You might find it difficult to constantly keep using her passive, especially during a teamfight, as one needs to get used to her playstyle in order to avoid silly mistakes. But even though she's difficult to use, it's not impossible to master her, and I believe everyone can master her, especially if you put in the time and effort to study her abilities and playstyle. So, what do you think about Benedetta? Make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments, and consider leaving a like on the video. And subscribe to my channel if you're new. And don't forget to check out Rin's YouTube channel. Make sure to check out his channel as well. I make tutorials and informative videos about the game. Thank you for watching.